Investing in yourself has the best returns. Welcome to the action episode of the Retirement Mentorship Podcast. Today we're looking at the action steps for Monday's episode on creating an investing plan. It doesn't matter how much we know about investing, whether it be the high-level planning aspects or the nitty-gritty of actual investments, if we don't do anything. Action is the only thing that leads to results. We can talk about creating an investing plan and walk through all the steps, but if we don't take the time to actually create one and then act on it, nothing changes. Let's review the steps to creating an investing plan quickly here. Number 1, adopt a planning mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, nothing else will work. You have to build and protect this planning mindset so that you can create and follow an investing plan, and a financial plan for that matter. Number 2, identify the purpose. What is the point of your retirement? It's not so much about having a portfolio as it is about having a purpose behind the portfolio. What are we investing for? What is the amount we need and when do we need it by? We should identify a dollar-specific, date-specific purpose for our investing. Number 3, determine the asset allocation and schedule. What is the ratio of equities to fixed income that we need to have, and at what point do we need to start reducing our equities and increasing our fixed income? Number 4, determine the diversification mix. How are we going to diversify within our asset classes? By different market caps or sectors or growth or value, whatever it is, we need to determine our diversification mix and stick with it. Number 5, determine rebalancing strategy and schedule. Rebalancing is a great way to, over time, mathematically, outperform the relative performance of our individual funds or stocks. But we need to stick with it systematically and preferably automatically over time. What are we going to rebalance and how often? That is the strategy we need to determine. Number 6, minimize taxes and fees. When it becomes time to choose the funds that match our diversification mix and asset allocation, we'll want to choose funds that have, all other things being equal, the lowest fees. Again, fees are not the primary driver of investor success, but they are a small portion, and if all else is equal, we should choose the lower fees. We'll also want to minimize our taxes, and we'll get to that in a couple weeks. Number 7, execute and evaluate. Execute the plan that you've created and continue to evaluate it. You likely gathered that creating an investing plan is not something you do on the back of a napkin in 5 minutes. It takes time. But it is incredibly important. There are few things in the financial planning process that have a greater long-term impact than forming and following an investment plan. So I have 2 action steps for you this week. Number 1, listen to the early episodes. If you've joined us recently in this podcast, you may not have listened to all the episodes. This podcast is designed so that all the episodes remain mostly relevant for all time. So I would encourage you to go back and listen to some of the very earliest episodes as they are foundational for adopting a planning mindset. This whole podcast is about building and bolstering a planning mindset, your belief in planning and your actions on planning. And many of those early episodes set the foundation for everything else we're talking about. So if you haven't listened to them, go back and listen to the early episodes. Action step number 2, schedule a time to create your investing plan. You are not going to be able to just whip this out. Yes, it is easier just to stick with the default options in your 401k and to choose willy-nilly the different funds in your IRAs and other investments. But it is not effective. You need to take the time to create an investing plan, and this is not something you're going to be able to do at a stoplight on your way home in the car. You need to take the time to create an investing plan, and part of that comes with scheduling the time to do it. People are less likely to miss an appointment that is on their calendar than to postpone a task. We all have lots of tasks, and if you simply add create an investing plan to your task list, it is very easy to continue to postpone and delay that task. But if it is an appointment on your calendar with yourself or with a professional or with your spouse or whomever, you are less likely to miss that. So schedule a time to create your investing plan. I want you to think of the impact here. Even if all your investments are actually already pretty well done, Don't you think that taking the time to create an investing plan that then you can follow over the next few decades will have at least some positive impact on your overall performance? Don't you think it likely that you could come away with, at least $1,000 extra for creating an investment plan than if you never did it? So if you scheduled an hour on your calendar to create an investing plan or to work with someone to do that, and that generated an extra $1,000 for you down the road, you are making $1,000 an hour. Schedule a time to create your investing plan and earn $1,000 per hour doing it. No, it's not going to pay you right away, but in the long term, it will pay dividends. My guess will be that it will actually end up being worth many, many more times than $1,000. But even if you are conservative in your estimate and think to yourself, doing this will generate me $1,000 per hour, then take the time to do it. If you don't feel like you have all the necessary skills and requirements to create your own investing plan, again, you lack the competence or capacity or any of those things we talked about a few weeks ago, then schedule a time to find someone to help you create it. Even if you ended up paying them, don't you think that down the road, after spending decades following an investment plan, you'll end up with more than if you just wing it? I think so. The one thing you can't do, though, is delegate the planning mindset. Only you can have that, and that is why it's important to listen to those early episodes and continue to listen to things like this, even if we're not your only source. That will help you develop that planning mindset. All success comes from forming and following a plan. Investing success does not happen by accident. It happens by acting. So take these 2 action steps, listen to the early episodes, and schedule a time to create your investing plan, and then when that time comes around, actually do it. We'll be back on Monday with the next step in creating your financial plan, and we'll see you then.